This video is about overtime and how to calculate it in California. When I first moved out to LA, one of my first features that I worked on told me that I wasn't owed any overtime because I was non-union. The truth is, it doesn't matter if you're non-union or union, you're owed wages if you're working. And that's a California labor law. It has nothing to do with the unions. I will say this producer was a little inexperienced because when I explained to him how overtime worked, he was like, oh, I didn't know that. So sometimes it's ignorance and sometimes producers are trying to pinch a penny. Not all producers are bad, but I've had enough experiences where I feel like this is an important video to make because I think it's important to understand how to calculate your wages and how to calculate your overtime. So essentially this is going to be a math lesson for people who are newer into the industry and need to learn how to figure that out. I primarily work in California, so a lot of my experience is going to come from working in state here and not in other states. So this is what this video is based on. So what is California labor laws? You should be paid at your regular rate of pay for the first 8 hours. After 8 hours, it's 1.5 times the hourly rate, and after 12 hours, it's 2 times the hourly rate. Most of the time, you're going to be quoted either a 10-hour day or a 12-hour day. And the rule is, if it's a 10-hour day, you divide by 11, and the 12-hour day, you'll divide by 14. So let me break that down. We're gonna do a 12-hour day first. So for the very first 8 hours, it's at an hourly rate. The last 4 hours from the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th hours are gonna be at time and a half. So those 4 hours times 1.5 is 6. So 6 plus the 8 hours equals 14. So for a 12-hour day, you'll be dividing by 14. The same thing applies for a 10-hour day. So the first 8 hours is the hourly rate, but the next 2 hours are gonna be at time and a half. So 2 times 1.5 is 3. So 8 plus 3 is 11. I know this can be a little bit confusing because if you worked $700 for 12 hours, it would make sense to divide by 12. But because of California law, those last 4 hours are at time and a half, which is why the math is the way it is. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do an example. Let's say you got 700 for 12 and you're trying to figure out the hourly rate. So if you do 700 divided by 14, doing it on my computer over here, that's gonna be 50 an hour. So let's say you worked 14 hours, not including lunch, because lunch is not paid hours. So 14 hours of actual labor. So the first 12 hours, you already know that's gonna be 700 for the 12 hours, but you've got 2 additional hours. So once you figure out your hourly rate, which is 50, you're on double time now. So 2 times 50 means you're going to be making 100 an hour, and 100 times 2 hours is going to be 200. Your daily rate of 700 plus 200 is going to be 900. So for that entire day, you've got 900. When you're quoted on a 10-hour day, the math gets a little bit more confusing because you're working, so it's 700 for 10, and the 11th and 12th hour is not double time, it's time and a half. So you have to figure that out first before you go to the 13th hour of double time and then the 14th hour of double time. So you kind of have to break it down like that. So let's say you did a 14-hour day just to make it a little complicated. So we know you're making 700 for the first 10 hours. The hourly rate for 700 for 10, you do 700 divided by 11, which is 63.63. And if you times that by 1.5, that's 95.45. That's your 11th and 12th hour. And if we do 63.63 times 2, that's 127.27. So if you do 2 hours of those, you add that on. The total of all of that is $1,145.45. An alternative solution that makes this process so much quicker is this app that I've created. It's a crew time card app called FreeMe, and I'll show you here. It calculates for both 10-hour days and 12-hour days. So let's go ahead and do the 10-hour first, and then I'll show you exactly what's so awesome about the calculations. If you were on a 10-hour day and you did 14 hours, it will go ahead and show you here the wages. So you don't even have to calculate it at all. But let's say you were curious what the breakdown was for the hourly, time and a half, and double. There it is, everything. Now let's go ahead and change this to 700 for 12. And again, for a 14-hour day, we've got 14 hours there. And there it is, the hourly, time and a half, and double. And that didn't take me any more than a couple of seconds. And you can export invoice or time card of your choice. FreeMe is available on the App Store and Google Play. So if you want to make your life a little bit easier, you hate doing the calculations, go ahead and give FreeMe a try. There's a 30-day free trial before it goes into subscription. Let me know what you think.